Hello and welcome to our coverage of this UEFA Women's Champions League round of 32 second leg tie between Chelsea and Benfica, live from Kingsmeadow. Chelsea in a strong position, to put it mildly, I would say. 5-0 up after last week's first leg in Portugal, and looking to secure their passage through to the last 16 in style. Let's have a look at how things unfolded in Lisbon last week. Didn't take long for Chelsea to get going, just 2 minutes in fact. Fran Kirby there with the goal that made her the club's all-time leading scorer. Millie Bright adding a second just before the half hour, and not long after that Kirby got her second of the game. 4-0 by half-time, Pernilla Harder nodding that one in, and just one more goal in the second half. Bethany England, who played her 100th game for the Blues in the league on the weekend, wrapping things up and meaning that surely tonight's match should be a formality. I'm Matt Davis-Adams, pleased to say that I've got the former Chelsea player Claire Rafferty alongside me. Claire, you played in this competition for the Blues. In terms of motivation for tonight, the motivation comes from the strength of the group, doesn't it? We know that Emma's making, 7 changes from the first leg, but it's tough to get a game in this team at the moment. When you get the chance to impress, you've got to take it.
Matt, you're spot on there. I think it's all about taking the opportunity, isn't it? Champions League is such a step up from the level we played in WSL. Yes, Chelsea have won the league. The expectation of Chelsea is to go quite far in this competition. But these players coming in, the depth of the squad, the number of players we actually have who have the quality to actually replicate the players who aren't playing this evening, it's about taking that opportunity, taking the moment. Yes, we know a wounded animal is more dangerous than one that's not. So Benfica are not someone to undermine. I think they actually have a lot to offer this evening, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm actually really intrigued to see how Jess Carter plays this evening. I know she came to the club with high expectations from Birmingham, so same goes for Fleming, same goes for obviously Guru Wright, who has been exceptional all season. I think the actual the conversation we were having before was very much around the quality of the bench, and exactly that's what we're having.
Well, let's have a look at the team chosen by Emma Hayes then. As I say, 7 changes from that first leg. Telford, Blundell, Charles, Cuthbert, Fleming, Carter and Kerr, the players coming in. Sam Kerr got the winner at Brighton in the league in the weekend. As you can see, it is a pretty extensive and high quality substitutes bench as well. Remember, you can get 5 substitutes on the pitch in the Champions League. This is the formation we are expecting Chelsea to start with. Might be a bit of flexibility about that, we'll find out later. That is a deadly front two of Bethany England and Sam Kerr. Referee is from Finland, Lina Laitavara, and her assistants too. Well, plenty of big hitters already through to the last 16. Lyon, Atletico Madrid, Wolfsburg, Bayern, Barcelona, Manchester City too. Chelsea surely are going to join them. In terms of the Benfica lineup, as we see Silvia Rebello, their captain, there are 3 changes that they have made from the first leg, including in goal. Neuhaus comes in for Villau, Camero and Fidalgo, the other players selected. Fidalgo had a brief and fairly unsuccessful spell actually at Manchester City. Their bench not quite as long as Chelsea's. So for them then, Claire, you just got to take it as the score's 0-0 and this is a one-off game, haven't you? And see if you can go toe-to-toe with one of the best club sides in Europe.
Look, it's all about mindset, isn't it? And especially when you're coming away from home, 5-0 down. You're coming up against a Chelsea team with the likes of Sam Kerr and Beth England. Some of these players are the best in Europe, best in the world. That shows the intention from Chelsea, but equally, the story behind Benfica, they took huge investment. Their growth in the last 3-4 years is absolutely massive. The ambition that they've shown from the vice president, I think he's sent several messages that having a women's team is a must, not something that is nice to have, and that in itself actually sends a message across women's football. In Portugal, I think they are slightly behind when we're competing. When we're talking about leagues, talking NWSL, WSL. The standard-wise, they're setting precedent now, and I think the players they have and the lessons they're going to learn from this game are going to be absolutely paramount.
Yeah, they're currently second in their league. They haven't had a league game actually since these two met last week, but the club was only formed in 2017, They won't forget their first game for a while. They won it 28-0. In fact, their record in their
That's
first
impressive,
season,
isn't it?
it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, their record at the end of that first season: 257 goals scored, none conceded. So they're no mugs. Speaking of which, there's Sam Kerr, who is in good form at the moment. Just voted number 7 in the top 100 players of 2019. We see the players taking a before kick-off. Again, reaffirming the message that there is no room for racism anywhere. Of course, up until a couple of days ago, this place would have been full of noisy Chelsea supporters. Can't be the case tonight, so we're glad that you're with us for the next best thing. Absolutely hosing down with rain for about 3 hours before kick-off, but it's nice and dry now. That'll mean that the surface is pretty slick, though. Should help Chelsea's passing game.
Yeah, and I think the key to the game tonight is actually playing quickly, maintaining that pace of play. We'd like to overload in the wide areas, but I think the switch of play is going to be key, and how we move the ball around the pitch is going to be paramount.
Bethany England just took one right at the start of the game there, right in the stomach, and the referee stopped it to check she's okay.
Yeah, Beth England has been such a fantastic player. Has grown so much. When I was playing with her in the past, I think she went out on loan to Liverpool, came back with such a fantastic attitude now. She's obviously last season player of the season for Chelsea, player of the season in WSL, and has now come into this season with huge competition. And there's only Emma Hayes actually touched on a lot of the competition in this team and the training environment, and I think that's why these players are pushing on so much.
There is Carter left side. She actually made her debut in senior football in this competition for Arsenal a number of years ago. Sophie Ingle playing at the back tonight, something that she's not unfamiliar with, albeit we usually see her in midfield.
Yeah, Sophie Ingle on the ball, she's so calm, cool and collected. I think having her in this team, we're really going to allow players around her to bomb on forward. I know it's a very attacking side at the moment.
Here's Kerr. Wanted to put it in first time. He's behind England. Plenty of red shirts back there defending. Chelsea's win at Brighton on Sunday, extending the unbeaten league run to 29 games. Only beaten once this season, the Blues, and that was actually a game from last season, technically, in the FA Cup. It's been an outstanding start.
It's all about consistency, isn't it, Matt, and about how you play in these games, especially in these competitions. Yes, we've come into this game 5-0 up, but it's about the mentality, about how ruthless this team can be.
Here's Niamh Charles. She's done well to get away from the defender. Now can she pick out a colleague in blue? Going to break for a shot which is just wide from Jessie Fleming.
Jessie Fleming, another fantastic player who hasn't seen that many minutes recently, actually. One of the up-and-coming Canadian players. Actually played against her in previous tournaments for England. And she came in with such expectation. I think coming into this Chelsea team, playing with the amount of talent and actually having to battle to get their minutes in. You know, this is actually quite a young team we're fielding this evening. And as I said before, it is about the opportunities, isn't it?
And here might be an opportunity for Bethany England, squaring it for Sam Kerr to tap it for 1-0. Right, and will do it. Brilliant defending to stop that from happening. It's come back for Charles. Heavy spell of Chelsea pressure in the opening exchanges here. Might be a long night this for Benfica.
It's something we're seeing consistently this season with Chelsea, overloading them wide areas and seeing Sam Kerr actually. A lot of the goals are being scored within them 6-yard box, and Beth England getting fed out wide, but actually our wide players do play quite narrow. They're slightly inclined, and they offer that opportunity to. Normally the actual balls that are played across that 6-yard box are very driven and low, and Sam Kerr, obviously in the Brighton game she scored that header, and then the last time we played Benfica it was a similar kind of situation. A lot of the goals are scored within that 6-yard box.
Here's Blundell, great to see her back in from the start. Only one appearance this season. She's been beset by injuries.
Hannah Blundell's such a talent. I used to love training with her because she has such energy, such explosivity, and I think it's a test actually for her this game because she hasn't had a lot of minutes. She's a player who is very driven by confidence, and because she hasn't been playing, it'd be really interesting to see how she has grown without that confidence and that exposure to football, because that does make a difference. I remember when I wasn't playing actually, and then you get thrown in almost. It's about, are you ready? Have you been paying attention? Are you paying attention to them little details? And I think this evening it is a bit of a showcase for Hannah Blundell. She's a fantastic player and actually a really good friend of mine who I speak quite often to her about taking these opportunities.
Benfica with their chance to cross halfway. Millie Bright is there to ensure that there is nothing for Chloe Lacasse to be able to pounce upon. It's Blundell again.
You know, I think when we talk about this Benfica team, I don't know a great deal about them actually. It's the first time in this tournament, isn't it, for them? Chloe, she's a Canadian player, seen the potential of the team.
Stood up by Wrighton. It will drop for Blundell. And England eventually swipes it wide, but chances already in the opening 5 minutes for Chelsea.
What I really love to see there is the overload of players in the box. You can hear Emma Hayes, you know, numbers in the box. Bomb forward, make sure you're overloading the area. Benfica players don't actually know who to pick up here. The rebound, here Hannah Blundell picks it up, and then Beth has another swipe. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4 players in that box at that moment in time. It does show the attacking intent that Chelsea have set out this evening.
Yeah, Benfica might have come here thinking, well, maybe they're not going to be as up for it. I think that they've already got 1 foot in the last 16. That's not the way that things have started. Looking to find Fleming. Almost able to win it back, but this is a sustained period of possession for Benfica by the standards of the opening 6 minutes. Fidalgo though quickly lost it to Niamh Charles.
I think initially we expected 3 at the back, didn't we, when we were having a conversation about who's playing, who's not. But you can see there's a back 4 there, and then the solid 4 of Reuter and Fleming, Cuthbert and Charles. And Niamh Charles, the player who hasn't had a lot of exposure, has she, at this level? Champions League. I remember my first Champions League game. It's such an exciting moment. You have to take them opportunities, don't you?
Yes, it's her first start in the competition. Sophie Ingle, vastly experienced, more than 100 caps for Wales. A real mix of experience and youth in this Chelsea team. Here's Millie Bright. Scored last week. She's got a couple of Champions League goals now. Blundell. Back to Kerr. Decent hold-up play.
You see how narrow we play there. Hannah Blundell offering the width, and the fullbacks are always the ones who are offering the width there. Niamh Charles tucking in. She's doubling up almost with Sam Kerr right now.
Good ball in from right, and goalkeeper poured at it, didn't get it away, and Charles couldn't turn it in from close range.
Oh, she'll be frustrated with that effort there. She was leaning back a little bit too much slightly. I think we've seen it time and time again, haven't we? Go right in with the deliveries into the box. Niamh Charles, as I was touching on, Sam Kerr and Beth England are actually in the same passing lines there, but touching back on the numbers in the box.
Carter. Here's Cuthbert. Okay, Blundell looking to offer a bit of width. Millie Bright, the captain tonight.
Oh, she was one I used to avoid in training for sure.
Yeah, you know when you've been tackled.
Oh, I'd run in the opposite direction, to be fair.
Or Fleming, that's a really clever ball. England, was there a deflection on that? There was. It's the first corner of the night.
We've seen a pattern occur here, aren't we? The overload in the wide areas, bit of combination play. Trying to get the low, hard deliveries into the box, and it just seems like the Benfica players are reading that play. I think it's only time until we actually capitalise on some of these chances, but for me, Benfica, yes, they're going to be more solid in defence. Yes, they're going to be trying to nullify the space in between, even in the wide areas and centrally, but...
To putting one in. Bright had stayed forward for the corner. She's going to have a go as well. My goodness me, that wasn't far away. Well, we know she's capable of it. Scored one against Sarajevo a few years ago from similar range. Got that belter in the Community Shield as well, of course.
Yeah, when you've got players like that who can pick the ball up on the edge of the box and strike with such power. Just picking back up on what I was saying before, for me, if I was in the Benfica team and I was a captain, they need to alleviate a little bit of pressure here. They're not getting rid of the ball. I really do praise them for trying to play.
That's a nice touch from Lacasse. Cuthbert was back there helping out Fleming. England, now then, Kerr, no flag, can she get there first? It's good goalkeeping. We have saw the danger. England's going to try and catch her out now though.
I think we saw the goal early on, didn't we, in the away leg for Chelsea. Fran Kirby capitalising 2 minutes in. I think the finishing hasn't been quite the same in this game. Yes, there is a lot of rotation, and you could expect that. Slightly less fluidity in the play. Almost slightly rash in some of the chances that we're taking here.
Here's Cuthbert. Charles has pinched it back here. The one thing you don't want to do for your Benfica is that, isn't it? Give it away cheaply. Might not get it back for a while.
Yeah, there's no outlet, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. You know what? There's no harm sometimes in just alleviating pressure, kicking it long, even if you get a throw down in Chelsea's defending third. You can't fault their endeavour, can you, really? They're trying to play, they're trying to find the players.
It's Charles ball in. Header away hasn't really got the job done. Right in, side netting.
As I was saying before, it's a similar pattern, isn't it? So we pick up the ball in the central position. We have the two wingers who are slightly inclined, and then we're finding them little through balls. Neve Charles and Guru Wright in similar positions that Sam Kerr and Pernille Harder and Fran pick up, and was picking up against Brighton and against West Ham. And it's the same kind of pattern of play, driven across the 6-yard box, waiting for the likes of Sam and Beth England to pounce on it. What I've really been enjoying is watching Millie Bright develop. Sophie Ingle actually was with the club years ago, before Emma Hayes' time, and she's obviously been brought back in. She's a fantastic leader. She seems like she's quite quiet and is unassuming, but on the pitch you can see she commands respect. Millie has the same attributes actually, and you see a fantastic ball there from Sophie Ingle, diagonal ball.
Right in, Kerr takes over. England wants to cut back her way. Terence hasn't got the job done again. Second time though, whether by luck or judgment, Benfica managed to prevent the ball going in the net.
Heroic defending there. I think there's only a matter of time, isn't there? What, it's 12 minutes in, and I think we've had 3 or 4 chances already. Goalkeeper's actually fantastic save there. Last ditch defending, which is a bit of me, to be honest. But as a tough tackling left back, that was what I used to really love doing. But I feel like they're lacking a little bit of leadership, Benfica. There needs to be someone, as we were saying, to just get hold of the game, try and get them a little bit higher. But it's a dangerous game they're playing if you try and push it a little bit higher. But you can't fault them, they're keeping them at bay at this moment in time, aren't they?
For now at least, but here's Wrighton. Wrighton's got plenty of time to consider her next move.
You know, when you have this much possession, it's really about keeping your concentration, making sure you are maintaining that momentum. Exactly that. We saw Erin Cuthbert, who's, you know, probably the most technical player I've ever trained with and played with. That misplaced pass is all about concentration. Sometimes when you have less pressure on you, it's actually harder to play. I used to prefer playing against the better teams because you don't have time to think then. The more time you have to think, sometimes the more mistakes you actually make. So it's going to be about tidying up these passes.
Trying to tee one up for herself there. Here's Cuthbert again. They go from all of 30 yards. And there was a touch on that to take it behind for another corner.
I think I might be slightly biased, but for me, Erin Cuthbert is one of my favourite players of all time. I'll never forget the day she came into training. I think she must have been 16, 17. She was so full of confidence. She rocked up. I think she nutmegged someone like Kate Chapman, who you don't want to nutmeg on your first day of training. It's been so amazing actually seeing her grow and improve. And this is a big game for her. She needs to stake a claim in this team.
So a corner in toward Ingle. Just came through a crowd and punched it away. Cass just trying to hold it up briefly, but Carter made sure she couldn't do that. Benfica got a player down after the corner a moment to go.
It's just a time wasting tactic.
15 minutes in.
No, I think she's had a knock, hasn't she? Looks like she's been winded, perhaps. I think the goalkeeper is owning that 6-yard box as came and punched the ball and has actually elbowed her teammate in the face. I think, as we were saying pre-game, the intentions from Benfica and the setup and the investment that they have almost dedicated themselves to in the last 3-4 years has been really impressive. As we were saying pre-game, they really do remind me of what Chelsea were 4 or 5 years ago. You know, turning yourself into a team that are competing in Champions League in Europe. I think they've said they want to be one of the top 10 clubs in Europe, and that ambition and that drive and that aim, it's something that doesn't happen overnight. This Chelsea team and what Emma and Paul have done with this club, it's not something that you can, you don't just buy players, you don't just change the formation, you don't just increase the facilities and improve the environment. It's a whole process that goes into it, and the 4-5 year plan that Benfica are starting, I really, really am impressed by them, and as we were saying, they remind me of Chelsea, and I feel a little bit of almost a nurturing kind of feel to them, because you have to applaud, don't you, clubs investing in their women's teams. Yes, they should be doing it anyway, but you have to applaud the intent. I have no doubt that in 3-4 years' time that they will be competing, but it is about the depth of the squad and investing in the long term. Look at this Chelsea team. I can't recognise this team from when I played. I mean, I wish I played in this team, because I wouldn't have got a game, that's for sure.
Well, the stretcher is needed here. It's not a particularly cold night, so the players won't be getting too stiff during this break in play. It's the right back, Catarina Amado, who is down and is not going to take any further part in the game by the looks of things. Neuhaus doesn't look particularly concerned, given that it was her who inflicted the wound.
I think there's actually been a spotlight on concussion and head injury, hasn't there, in the media in recent weeks, and I think in the Premier League they're potentially going to introduce a
concussion sub. Yeah, it's a hot talking point, isn't it, after what happened at Arsenal between Arsenal
it was a head, wasn't it? Otherwise I'm going on a tangent.
Well, I think it might have been actually. Well, yeah, there you can see it's a broken nose by the looks of things, but it looks really uncomfortable, and we can only hope Catarina Amado is not too badly hurt.
When you're in the moment and the adrenaline is running, you don't really think about the dangers you're putting your body through. You know, she's representing her club, she's making a statement. They obviously don't want to come away from this game the same way they did in the home leg. Sometimes that comes at a price, putting your body on the line like that. I hope she's okay. I think you can't be too overcautious, can you, when it's a facial injury. But this is leading back into the depth of the squad. Who will they bring on to replace her? What quality can they actually replicate the quality? We know that the Chelsea squad can. 4 years ago, we couldn't replicate that quality. And I think that is when I'm saying that I do really resonate with where they are, because in that moment in time 4 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to bring on a right back or a left back or any player who had the same kind of level of quality. So the investment that they are putting in and the lessons they will be learning from this game will actually be. I think for me, we ended up losing to Wolfsburg in 2 consecutive Champions Leagues, and I think we learned more from losing them games than we did from if we actually proceeded in the tournament. So it may seem like a like a romantic way to address the situation, but I think the lessons that this team will learn.
It's going to be Francisca Nazareth who's going to come on to take the place of Amado, wearing number 18. First change enforced on Benfica 20 minutes in. What does this do for you when you see a teammate get a potentially quite nasty injury? It must be difficult to put it out of your mind straight away.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few players actually in my time have serious injuries right in front of your eyes. It is quite shocking, and it's strange because you want to actually be quite emotional about it, but you can't, because you have to stay professional, you have to stay in the moment. As you've seen 18 come on here, I think sometimes when you actually disrupt the formation, disrupt the plans that you've had, so now this team is now going to have to shuffle around. The jobs are going to change, even talking about set pieces. It's a test to how much they have been, almost like the tactical analysis that they've and the prep that's gone into this game, because a player coming on needs to be equally prepared.
Yeah, and you're not expected to come on 20 minutes in, I suppose, either. Anyway, the substitution's been made. We'll see if that's halted Chelsea's momentum. Bright's ball over the top, looking for Charles, just had a bit too much on it.
We see this Benfica team, obviously they're playing 5 at the back. I think one lesson they would have learned from last game is to not follow the players and to defend the space rather than the actual player.
Here's the Castle, almost. She's seen more of the ball than anybody else in the red shirt so far. Dealt with it nicely there too. Can they get anywhere near Carly Telford's goal?
I think the disruption of play as well will
might work in Benfica's favour, that, I guess.
Yeah,
Chelsea were rampant up until then.
Exactly, the concentration. We talk a lot in football, don't we, about momentum, and each team will have some kind of momentum during a game. Chelsea were all over Benfica before the injury, so it's going to be now about regaining that, trying to control the game, trying to pick your moments as well. You see Sophie Ingle on the ball now. There's nothing wrong with playing the ball around the back and not forcing it. Jess Carter there. You look up and you see the likes of Gura Wright, and Sam Kerr is behind her. Jessie Fleming's in the middle, like calling for what everyone's calling. Sometimes the best thing to do is actually just go back, start again, try and change the point of attack. But do it with what's the word I'm looking for? Not momentum. Do it with speed of play.
Purpose.
Try and actually. Exactly, do it with purpose, because an old football cliche is very much penetration without purpose is dangerous.
I like it. Here's Cuthbert. Working it out to Carter. It's a lovely first time ball for Guro Wrighton. Goalkeeper came and poured at the cross, got enough on it. Charles not giving it up though, and she's done well to win it back. Flag's gone up now.
What was that? Did the ball go out of play? Is that what she was flagging for?
I'm assuming so. We can't quite see from our position right up in the top of the gantry that particular part of the pitch, so let's say yes, Claire. Midway point of the first half, everything but the goal for Chelsea so
Offside,
far.
apparently. Touching back on, we were saying about forcing passes. We saw a pattern of play that actually worked really much in the favour. We saw Jess Carter on the ball, go right and slightly inside.
The referee acknowledging there that she could let that run on. A bit too keen on the whistle. And I think we're looking to break.
Finish. Are they finished referees this evening? Yeah.
Carol Costa over the free kick. Straight onto the head of Carter.
Vast experience, isn't she, Costa? Over 100 caps for Portugal. I was reading a few articles that she was doing pre-game, and she was saying about the balance between...
Well, here's Kerr. Can she get the shot away? Flag has gone up.
That was close there. Considering they've got 5 at the back and that they are embracing a lot of the pressure, they are keeping quite a good line there. And I think that just links back to talking about Costa and the experience she has played for Portugal. 100 plus caps, if I'm right in saying, and she was touching on the balance between the youth and experience and how important that is when you get further along in competitions like this.
Yeah, she's somebody who does have experience in this competition too with Sporting. Just enough on that throw from Carter for Bright.
I think for me here in this situation, we've got 3 players. Sophie Ingle picking the ball up. Obviously, Millie Bright has the ball now, but for me, I'd like to see Hannah Blundell push a little bit higher up, have Neve Giles tuck in a little bit and try and cause that overload. Once we're forcing Benfica to step out down this right-hand side, then try and quickly switch the play, get Erin Cuthbert on the ball. She's a key pivot in there to switch play. Her technique and the way that she can manipulate that midfield, all she needs is almost encouragement. I don't think she's getting the ball in these right positions, but there's no rush. We're very much in charge of this game, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah, it's almost a free hit, isn't it? 5-0 up from the first leg. Here's Blundell. Kerr trying to turn it around the corner first time. Came for Kerr again. Now Charles. Fancy footwork. Cuthbert. And again Erin Cuthbert. Right, and turning it around the corner. Again, plenty of blue shirts in the middle if there's a good cross here from Carter. Just a bit too much force.
For me, that's not a foul. I think Jess has shown her strength there. She's tried to knock the ball past, create a bit of space for herself to get the shot in.
One of those you might get away with domestically, but not with a European referee.
Yeah, look, we're not going to talk about referees this evening. Tell you, it was a shame, isn't it, to not have the fans in this evening. I know the Chelsea women's supporter group are quite frustrated.
Yeah, we all are. However many times you come to one of these games, you can't get used to the fact there are no supporters in the stadium. Hopefully it's not going to be forever.
Especially Champions League nights. And the setup of the stadium now, we've seen the club invest so much in the facilities and the environment these players have access to. Even walking in this evening has changed so much since I was here.
Here's England, no flag. Kerr in the middle, and the goalkeeper poured at it, but she totally missed it. And Bethany England finally turns Chelsea's dominance into a lead on the night.
You can see Beth smiling there and congratulating. I think that was potentially meant as a cross, but she'll take it. Her second goal in the Champions League. Touching back on the overload in them wide areas, there's 3 players there. She picked the ball up from Guro Wright and looked up, seen Sam Kerr in the 6-yard box, and fortunately the goalkeeper has been fooled a little bit. I think she went and assumed the ball was being crossed in and aimed for Sam Kerr, as we all did. But she'll take it. Look, she's smiling, she's laughing. And I think that will alleviate any kind of pressure, if they felt any in the first place. I think they dominated the game so far, haven't they? Definitely England will be happy with that. A goal's a goal, isn't it?
Yeah, she rounded things off in Portugal last week with the 5th, and she's got Chelsea off and running here again tonight. just before the half hour. Here's Ingle. That's a strong challenge on Cuthbert. Referee waited a second to see if there'd be any advantage before deciding it should be a Chelsea free kick for Camero's challenge.
Erin's a tough tackling midfielder there. I feel like she always gets a bit of a kick in. I think she plays with such intent, such determination. I'd love to see her get on the score sheet, especially as there's been a bit of disappointment for her Scottish team not qualifying internationally. So for me, Erin playing in these kind of games and getting the exposure Champions League wise, it's where she belongs. The quality that she possesses is very much. I'd like to see this game being very much about her.
Oh, that's a lovely little pirouette away.
On cue, thanks, Erin.
Can she match it with the goal? Not quite. Well, yeah, it's got everything behind that. Cuthbert didn't quite.
I think what we have in this Chelsea team is such a diverse type of player. We have direct players, we have players who love to come in and play for feet. When Franco is playing, we've seen the interlinking play between Pernille Harder, Sam Kerr, with Beth and Sam playing as a two this evening. It's almost a throwback to what we saw at the end of last season. Was it last season or this season? I'm confused of what seasons are now because of this COVID situation. But in the early days when Sam arrived at Chelsea, it was very much about Beth and Sam and how they were interlinking. So it's nice to see different kind of partnerships developing and different kind of goals being scored. And you don't want to rely too much on one individual, do you? Especially when we're going deep into these competitions. It needs to be about goals coming from all different positions, midfield, centre forwards. We saw a goal from Millie Bright, didn't we, in the away leg.
He's Blundell. Saw that Carter had the space. Challenged by Nazareth, the substitute.
You know, they're still trying to play, aren't they? Under this much pressure, they're really showing intent to stick to almost the mandate of what the manager is envisioning for this club. And sometimes what I want to see is just them alleviate the pressure, kick it long, but you can't fault them actually trying to stick to their own game plan, trying to play out, stick to their ethos, what works in their league, what's actually going to develop them as a team. And it looks like this style of play for them. I think they could do with a few more key players, a little bit more in the spine of their team. You know, obviously that
Ref's got a technical problem at the moment. Some of the equipment not working. Just shout. Assistant will be able to hear you.
I guess that's a bonus, isn't it, of having no fans in.
If it stopped working or if it was just uncomfortable anyway. Ready to get going again. Chelsea ahead on the night thanks to Bethany England's goal a couple of minutes ago. She almost got on the ball again there. Chelsea will get corner number 3 of the night.
I think what we're seeing from the obviously they're playing 5 at the back, but one of them 3 centre backs there is it's almost man marking Beth England or Sam Kerr. They're passing on Sam Kerr to the midfield, but with Beth England, Ashley's coming to get the ball. One of them stepping out, and if we don't have the players running in behind, which we have done. When we don't, she can become very isolated there. So that takes a lot of energy to keep that up. So I think for Chelsea, it's very much keep doing the same.
It swings it over. Morehouse patted it away down for Wrighton, had to shoot through a crowd and couldn't keep it down.
We've seen the balls dropping on the edge of the box, haven't we, a few times now, whether it be from crosses or corners. I think she's always leading back, wouldn't she?
Looking for her first Chelsea Champions League goal, Guro Wrighton. She did score for her old club in this competition a couple of years ago. thought Carter was going to give it back to Carly Telford then. He's probably desperate just to get a touch of the ball.
You know, goalkeepers in these kind of games, I'm quite good friends with Carly. I know she'd say on multiple occasions how difficult it is actually to keep them the concentration, and what she would actually do to maintain that concentration. I think she picks a few songs to sing in her head just to make sure that she's keeping with it.
Charles skating past a couple of challenges and ran into trouble. Here's Kurt. Just over 10 to go in the first half, although there'll be a fair bit of stoppage time.
I just noticed the bandage on Millie's knee there, on her left knee. Seems quite heavy bandaging, doesn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few more goals, if she potentially makes way for. Saying that, Millie is a trooper, absolute soldier. That won't stop her from wanting to lead this team.
One more game to go after this before the winter break. We'll show it you live on the Fifth Stand and Chelsea's online platforms against Spurs in the WSL on Sunday. Pitching in to win it back will be a Benfica throw. Yeah, goal in this competition came in an all Scandinavian affair when she was playing for Lillestrøm against Brøndby. Really good first season, didn't she, in Chelsea colours?
Yeah, her delivery, her quality, time and time again. You see it from set pieces, from open play. I just think she always creates that little bit of space. Always creates the angle to actually get the cross in. And you've seen her score some from outside of the box as well. Also, she's got the best number on anyway. I've handed down the number 11 to her, so she's doing it more than justice. She's far better player than I, so I'm proud of her.
Very gracious. Here's Ingle. You mentioned maybe Millie Bright won't play the full 90. You expect there to be the use of the full 5 subs in a game like this.
Yeah, you do, especially of how comfortable we are. But saying that, there are a lot of players on the pitch at the moment who haven't had a lot of minutes, so I think we expect to see those players to stay on the pitch, and perhaps the likes of Sam Kerr and Millie to come off and be rotated with the likes of... You know what, even though we're so dominant in this game, a player always wants to play. Franco will be biting at the heels to get on this pitch because she wants to get another goal. She wants to stamp her claim to the leaderboard that she has dominated at the moment. She obviously made history, didn't she, in the home leg. And I think these kind of games are an opportunity for these attacking players to score goals and gain a little bit of confidence for themselves. And Emma will want that. She wants this team to be ruthless.
Here's Blundell. Play forward is the call from the manager.
Yeah, when Erin received the ball there, she's calling for her to face forward, but actually Erin had player.
Here's Ingle. Looking to move it quickly. She'll get on the end of the return ball from Wrighton too, and she's worked it back to Guro Wrighton. 3 in the middle waiting for a cross. Defending was good enough to get the block in. That was a really swift counter from Chelsea.
We mentioned it before, didn't we? The fluidity of the attacking play. When we attack, we attack with 5. It's all about the numbers, the overload. In that occasion it was Sam Kerr and Guro Wrighton, and the link-up play that came from the centre of the pitch. But it's very much about the final actual, like the attacking prowess and the dominance that we have in that 6-yard box. It's something that actually we haven't had in the past. Sam Kerr's goals have been, we've seen her hat-trick, it came all from within the 6-yard goals, all with assists in the same kind of way. And it is about that ruthlessness that I've touched on before. The small details of this level are the difference. Can we actually capitalise on these opportunities? And that goes from down to concentration, it goes down to detail, it goes down to the overload in the wide areas, it goes into the style of play that Emma has been training into these players leading up to this game. You know, she would have sniffed out the weaknesses that Benfica have from the last game, and we'll be trying to capitalise.
Charles is going to have a go from distance here. Oh my goodness me. Well, Neuhaus will tell you she'd have saved that had it been on target, but it was a decent hit from Niamh Charles.
Yeah, from this angle I thought it was going in actually. She picked the ball up in the central area. And I think there's no fear, is there? No fear element. We've seen that the different kind of goals that this team can score. Saying about the goals from the 6-yard box, but also actual goals from outside the box. Link-up play in the wider areas, but picking up them seconds. It's very much about the seconds and pouncing on those kind of opportunities.
He's bright. I mean, surrounded by 3 players, felt she was fouled.
I was going to say, trying to count the players there was 3 players on Jessie Fleming there.
Here's Kurt. In from right in England. Oh, it's a good chance by her standards.
You know what, I actually think I might be ultra critical here, but I do think we've been slightly wasteful in some of the opportunities that we've had. Another ball, we said it time and time again, fantastic ball from Gura Wright, and Beth, you can see her reaction, is quite frustrated there. Looks like she's in line with the front post, and as you said, her standard, she would have hoped to actually capitalise on that.
Charles brought to ground. She's had a good first half, Niamh Charles. Particularly running with the ball, she's given Benfica all sorts of problems.
Yeah, and you know, you heard Emma Hayes say face up. I think for her midfielders, when you get that opportunity, it is about driving with the ball, creating the space. When you're driving with the ball, you're making the defender make a decision. If they step out, then it's creating an overload, either to the left or to the right of you. She seems to be picking up more centrally than on the right-hand side where she started the game. So when she picks up that ball, she has no fear, does she? She's driving with the ball. She wants to get on the score sheet, really, doesn't she? But I think it's the breaking the lines, creating that space for yourself, drawing out the defenders and trying to make something happen.
And Chelsea get a second before half-time here. It was the decoy. Martin sent it in. Bright was in there challenging. It's a great punch away from the goalkeeper. Carter able to stop a potential break.
I think the goalkeeper's actually been really brave in the first half. She's had a good...
Not afraid to come through a crowd and clatter people, as we saw.
Who would be a goalkeeper, eh?
Right in. Going to switch it for Charles. It's up early to win the header. Used a bit too much force. In fact, Charles might have come off worse there.
Which looks like another head injury.
Cisa is the Benfica player who's slowly getting to her feet.
I'm glad you can see the number of the player shirts. I actually can't see.
We are high up above the pitch tonight. Pitch is in brilliant condition when you think we're a week before Christmas.
It is fantastic, and there's like a carpet here. No excuses here for any...
Ela falha! Ok, Nicole, excelente, Nicole!
Taylor grateful to have the ball at her feet just momentarily. Kurt going to continue to run. And goes back to Carter instead.
I think what we don't see from this Chelsea team is the wide players actually... I can't see where the ball's gone here.
It's Blundell who's coming back in field. Might break for England, not quite.
what we don't see, what we used to do with the old style of play was the overlapping runs from the fullbacks, because I was going to eat my words then, just start to just overlap. But I think because what we see is either Erin Cuff or Jessie Fleming dropping into the back line, which is pushing up the fullbacks, in particular this side, with Hannah Bundell acting as a right winger, which allows the likes of Neen Charles to tuck in and create that overload in them central areas. But because of that, we don't actually see the overlapping play that we traditionally do see when you're playing at the moment, what we're four at the back, aren't we? So normally you'd see the bombing run from the likes of Hannah Bundell, which suits her very well.
Here's Cuthbert. Up on this near side.
That's the third offside, isn't it? Third or fourth offside so far. I used to get so frustrated with my teammates when they were offside.
You never were, of course, being a left back.
Listen,
Never that far up the pitch.
I was nearer the goalkeeper than I was the hit posing.
Right in. Going alone for now. Cuffed maybe a little bit on her toes there.
Trying to think what the message will be at half-time here.
Well, we've got 7 minutes of stoppages. We've nearly had one of them because of the serious head, or at least facial injury, suffered right near the start of the game by the Benfica right back that necessitated lengthy treatment and a substitution. N'Golo taken off.
I think from a Benfica perspective, they've defended really heroically from my point of view. They've obviously really trying to minimise the spaces in between the ranks and central areas. They are committing players out wide when we're overloading, but I actually think they're much improved from the first leg. They've learned a lot from that. They're not following the players like they were in that first game. But I think I'm really intrigued to see what Emma's going to say at half-time, because she'll want more goals. She'll want this game to be put to bed. I think one message that she always used to put across to us was that ruthlessness. Can we show that intent? Can we make a stamp? Yes, I know Benfica are. I think they're ranked 31 out of 32 in these final stages. So they are one of the lowest ranked teams in this competition. But it's about the standards that you set, and Chelsea are here to win this competition. There's no doubt about it. And that intent is shown by the players that she brought in. So I think half-time it will be very much about how can we take this game to the next level, how can we put it to bed. Yes, we are dominating, but what can we do to solve situations? How can we move the ball a little bit quicker?
Yeah, Benfica came through a couple of qualifying rounds to get to this stage. They beat PAOK from Greece and Anderlecht. Looks as though their European holiday is going to end at Kings Meadow.
At least it's stopped raining.
Right in. Scoop one over the top for England. Ball in toward Charles, kept away from her. Strong challenge from Carter. Benfica not happy about it. Referee didn't see anything wrong with it. Just about kept that in as well, apparently.
A bit of frustration there, isn't it? Who's that down number?
It's Camero who's claiming that she got an elbow.
I think that's a smart tactical foul, that.
Certainly the nothing intentional in that, not much in it. Whatever way you look at it.
I think it is interesting actually to notice a difference in the standard of refereeing from the WSL and European competitions, and even when we go into World Cup competitions. Sometimes there are just some fouls or tactical fouls that you just don't get away with, and a few Champions League games we'd make a point pre-game to comment on that and make sure we're sensible, and especially if that team is particularly good at set pieces, making sure that we know that the referees are potentially sensitive to certain fouls or certain situations, and try to avoid giving them away. I think you can get away with a little bit more in the WSL than you would do in this game. Not that I'm asking any of the players to test that theory.
6-0 the aggregate score. Deep into first half stoppage time. Wonder if there'll be some substitutions at the break from both sides. I think we've already been forced into one. Forward by Blundell, looking for Kurt. See what England was trying to do. She's chasing this down as well, forcing Neuhaus to get rid of it quickly. Again, showed composure there, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, nicely found. She found Pauletta in the space in between. I think we went chasing a little bit there. But, you know, they have imprinted their style of play here, haven't they? They're trying to play out the back. They're trying to find them pockets.
Over the top from Bright for Kerr. He stayed strong. Finish was lacking. Whether it was a cross or a shot, only she knows.
I just heard her say sorry, so I think it might have been a cross. I think there's been a few more issues on that left-hand side than the right-hand side. They're looking to looks like they're trying to play out more so down that side, whether they recognise any potential weaknesses on our behalf, or that's where they're stronger. It seems like Jess Carter's had a few more questions than Hannah Blundell has.
Now Telford had to do something meaningful. Did well to stay the right side of the line there as well, actually.
Every time I say something, every time I say something, the opposite happens. But I think, yeah, that's about staying switched on there, isn't it, Carly? Telford quicker for a line.
Play from Charles. Cross was repelled. It's come back away though. She must be in foul as she laid it off for Blundell. Might be time to take the free kick. Chelsea will have to be quick about it. There is no time to take the free kick. Well, it's been a first half utterly dominated by the home team. Just the one goal to show for that dominance though came from Bethany England just before the half hour. That after chances had come and gone for pretty much everybody else in the team. But Dani Neuhaus, the Brazilian international brought into the Benfica side for this game, has had a good first half and kept the scoreline, at least on the night, respectable. At the break here at Kingsmeadow, it is Chelsea 1, Benfica 0, 6-0 is the aggregate score. Okay, we're going to have a look now at how Chelsea got on in their last league assignment. It was away at Brighton on Sunday. Here are the best bits of that game.
Just over Kerr's head, wouldn't drop for Bright. There's Cuthbert, that's deflected, it's looping. And Fiskatran just about did enough. Frank Kirby was lurking. He decided not to touch it over. It was a risk. Another good looking ball into the middle. G didn't get a header right. Brighton struggling to get it clear. That's Harder. Put it back in a position to cross here if she can keep it in towards Sam Kerr. What a clever goal. Sam Kerr on target in the league again. And that is a really deft header. It's a lovely ball in from Harder. Kerr had plenty to do. G. Kerr's flick was cute. It's come back to Ji So-young. Harder from range. Well held by the goalkeeper. Chelsea looking for a second just to give them some breathing space. Tricky game against Brighton here last season. Again, they're proving a somewhat obdurate opponent. Albeit they haven't really threatened yet. That might change now, though. Kargman off the bar. It was over Berger. Had it been an inch or two lower, it would have been a real problem. And Nessa Kargman with a really clever effort. Well, one back by Cuthbert. She and G rather got in one another's way. Kerr's done well, though, to get it back to Cuthbert. Snapshot, which Fisketrum was able to get clear. Again, Sam Kerr, exceptional. She's having a really good game. England looking to get the flick on. Loopholes, that's loose. O'Sullivan moving it on. Here's Kargman. Knighton couldn't get it away. Loopholes where she fouled. And the effort flew wide. It would have counted. That should be that, though. Chelsea almost there.
Yeah, not quite the goal-laden performance we've come to expect, but a really valuable win that. Chelsea struggled at Brighton last season. That could be crucial in the final reckonings come the end of the WSL season. Now let's have a look at the best bits of the first half here. It's been one-way traffic really since the first whistle, just like it was in Portugal last week. No sense that Chelsea were happy to sit on what they had. Niamh Charles has had a standout opening 45 plus 7 minutes. She set up this opportunity for Jessie Fleming early on. Didn't quite get her angles right on that occasion. Bethany England has been everywhere in the first half, teeing up that chance for first Kerr and then Wrighton, but that's the first time we saw the quality of Neuhaus, the Benfica goalkeeper. Wrighton then into the box, standing a ball at far post for Charles again. Could have had a couple of goals. Blundell with a swing and a miss almost, in England hooking it wide on the follow-up. This all in the first 10 minutes. Chelsea have now scored in their last 43 consecutive games, although you wouldn't have known it with some of the wayward finishing early on in this match. But Benfica have struggled to get over halfway. This was Millie Bright having a go from range. You see, Neuhaus was troubled by it just for a second. And another Charles ball in, just over England's head. Wrighton recycled it though, and then walloped it into the side netting. Benfica done well to keep it down to just one goal, really. You can see great goalkeeping again from Neuhaus. Keen to prove a point, having not started the first leg. This was the goal from Bethany England. I think the expression on her face lets us know that she was trying to pick out Kerr in the middle rather than score herself, but she'll certainly take it. Scored in both legs of this tie now. It was just before the half hour. Goal that Chelsea richly deserved, and there could have been more thereafter too. That wasn't Neuhaus's best work. Wrighton sending it over on the follow-up. Again, Charles with the ball at her feet looking really good and tried her luck from range, and once more the goalkeeper was worried. Cross in from Wrighton, and England really will feel that she should at least have drawn a save from the goalkeeper there, I think. I feel like there's more goals in this for Chelsea in the second half. Whether Benfica can threaten Carly Telford at all, we'll see. It's about as good as it got for the visitors. Lacasse almost managed to get on the end of that, but Carly Telford had stayed switched on. In fact, it almost led to another opportunity for Chelsea. But 1-0 is the half-time score. Chelsea 6-0 up on aggregate. Now then, we've been bringing you plenty of live football this season, and in terms of the men's development squad, there was a dramatic derby against Tottenham on Monday night. Petr Cech featured in the game. By the end of the 90 minutes, that was only one of the talking points. Let's have a look now at the best bits of that match.
It's gone short here to Harvey White. Nodded back in, no flag, worst possible start. Okadina is in to pop it past Petr Cech and Tottenham lead. Chelsea just haven't got started yet.
Pressure.
Lyons Foster. Tottenham, remember, can go above Chelsea if they win here. Harvey White with the ball in. It's a really good ball in, and that's a brilliant header from the 16-year-old Dane Scarlett. What a couple of weeks he's having. A first-team debut, and a goal that puts Chelsea in trouble here. Livramento. Chelsea so much more on it in this second half, and that's surely a foul. It is. Penalty. George Nunn has won it. And well done him. He wasn't a favourite to get to that. He's definitely fouled. Big moment here for Miles Peart-Harris, and it's in. Game on again. The substitute who helped in the comeback against Man City and started the ball rolling here too. Bate. Lawrence. What a ball that is. And look at Livramento go. He's got the pace to Livramento. He's got Marcel Lewis in the middle, and it's 2-2. And that's been coming. What a brilliant second half performance this is from Chelsea already. It's like a different side. And that is a superb goal. Bit of a slice that from Austin. Flicked on by Alfie Devine. Well, that's a filthy challenge from Devine, and Drinkwater's gone in after him as well. And there's going to be cards here, and they might not be yellow this time. It's all kicking off. And I can't see either of them getting away with that. Indeed, it is red for Devine. And it's surely going to be, yes it is, 10v10, Drinkwater sent off too. Around the back, Peart-Harris here. It's almost an air shot. Suddenly Tottenham are clinging on. Levi Colwill. Henry Lawrence. Henry Lawrence! What a hit that is. That is so close to a brilliant, brilliant goal.
Hey, come on, half. Come on.
Livramento. Ricochet's worked out. Lewis here, pulls it back for Peart-Harris. He's done it! 3 minutes to go. It's another fabulous PL2 comeback from the Chelsea boys. Miles Peart-Harris with his second and Chelsea's third. What a game!
Terrific win, wasn't it? Thought it was going to be all about Petr Cech. It ended up being about the football. Right, we'll have a look back at Chelsea's goal scorer now. Her first half went. Claire, Bethany England scored in the first leg. She's got the goal here as well. How's she done for you overall?
I think she'll actually be quite frustrated with a few of the chances that she's had. See there, a slight rash reaction there. We've seen it actually time and time again, the ball dropping. But just touching on what we mentioned before, similar kind of overload in them wide areas. We've got the numbers in the box. You don't even have to look up. She actually hasn't looked up. She knows Sam Kerr's going to be in and around that 6-yard area, and the goalkeeper has been fooled by the cross. And the goal's a goal. She's happy with it. You know, this kind of is another wasted opportunity, and I think she will look back when they analyse this game.
So what's Emma going to be saying over the last 15 minutes then, do you think?
I think, knowing her very well, it will be very much about the ruthlessness of the team, the message that they want to send out, the opportunity that she's given these players who haven't had as many minutes. Look, let's not undermine the quality and the standard of Benfica. Champions League is a step up. The quality that they are showing, yes, it's not to the standards of the likes of Man City and Arsenal in the WSL. We're very fortunate to be in a league that is. Sorry, let's not forget Man United. Sorry, any Man United fans watching this, I doubt they will be. But I think the standard of quality that we have in WSL, this step up for Benfica and the lessons that they're learning, but also the step up for Chelsea, knowing that, look, we were in this position 3 or 4 years ago. We're now not in that position. It's about capitalising on the depth of and the quality of the players that we have, making sure they take their opportunities, but also it will be a lesson for the staff to see, almost like a measure. Are we implementing the standard and the culture into training? Are the players that are coming off the bench or the players that are being rotated into the squad understanding the game plan, understanding who Chelsea are and the message that we want to deliver in these kind of games? And I think that does just link back into the ruthlessness of this team and sending that message out there. She won't be happy with the 1-0. I went a long-winded way around saying that. Basically, to sum up, I don't think she will be happy with the 1-0. She will be making changes. I think I would like to see a little bit more from a few of the central midfield players. And it's a difficult answer when you haven't played that many games. This team, has this team actually played together this season? No, it hasn't. And you do have that connection. You do have to be on the same kind of wavelength as the players that are around you. Neve Charles has been quite impressive for me. Obviously, Jessie Fleming hasn't played as much as she probably would have liked to. The same goes for a lot of the players on the pitch at the moment. The competitive nature of this team and the squad, it's very much about the are you training to the level that allows you to step onto the pitch and perform in the best possible way. You can see Emma, she's walking onto the pitch now. She's smiling at least. She knows the game's under control, but deep down she won't be happy with just the 1-0.
Well, she's in the final 3 for the FIFA Pro Coach of the Year award. There are 8 Chelsea players up for the Players' Prize too. Incredibly, it's announced later this week. In terms of the competition as a whole, Claire, it's an obvious question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is it again a case of if you beat Lyon, you'll probably win it?
So you have to beat the best teams, don't you? When we're talking about the men's side and the draw that they've got against Atletico, I think Frank came out and said a similar kind of message. Look, if you want to win the Champions League, you've got to beat the best teams. Doesn't matter what stage that is in. Yes, you want to progress as far as possible, but Chelsea want to win this Champions League. Emma wants to win it. There's no surprise that we're in contention, or people are talking about us as being in contention because of the players we brought in. I'm just noticing Millie Bright walking over. She has been taken off there at half-time.
Yeah, you pointed out that she had the strapping. She is coming over to take a place on the bench in the second half. Just having a look to see if we can work out who's coming on. We can't quite see from down below on the bench, but we'll find out soon enough. You see the Benfica players and the Chelsea players just trying to keep warm. The temperature has dropped a little bit. It is fairly mild evening for this time of year.
Have you got any tissues, man?
As for Benfica, then, it's just about sticking to the principles that we mentioned in the first half, I suppose. And here it is, Magda Eriksson, the captain, regular captain, who is coming on for Millie Bright.
Right on cue there, Matt sent me over a box of tissues, thank you.
Always be prepared. That's a like-for-like change, basically, isn't it? Eriksson will just come on and play where Bright did.
Yeah, yes, these players are going to have probably a couple of weeks off, and I know Emma Hayes has said that she's going to allow a lot of them to go back home, but it's very much about managing the amount of games, managing the exposure. Millie and Magda, they're consistently in the team, aren't they? They've played a lot of minutes. They're leaders, they give everything. So I think this half-time sub as you said, very much like for like. Vice captain for captain. Magda Eriksson, as from when she joined the club, she's come on leaps and bounds for me. She always showed clear leadership skills from early on. Also, for me, she offers balance on that left-hand side. We've seen Sophie Ingle, who was playing on the left side of the centre back there. She's gone over to the right side, and Magda Eriksson offers a little bit more balance towards that left side.
Here's Kurt. Decent cross, goalkeeper came and then changed her mind. Here's Eriksson's first touch. Counter lost out to Nazareth, but they couldn't keep the ball under control for very long, Benfica. Ingle switching it out to Carter. Made her debut, as I said, in this competition for Arsenal when she was just a teenager. Nice touch there from Blundell. And the Cats might be able to set up a counter here for Benfica. Good ball as well. No, it's not. Well, the ball was okay, but the run was not correctly timed, and the flag up for offside.
I think it's the first time they've had the opportunity there to pick up the ball and run out our back line. Misplaced pass from Hannah Blundell, which is quite rare. I think she meant to actually feed it into Jessie Fleming or Erin Cuthbert there, and she managed to pick that pass off and drive at our back line, but it didn't really cause a lot of threat. We kept that high line.
I guess that's one of the key objectives for the second half, isn't it? Keep the away team score at 0. Keep a clean sheet across the two legs of the tie would be great.
I'm on the verge of sneezing here, so apologise any listeners. The temperature has dropped, hasn't it?
Surely has. I'm glad I got gloves. Here's Eriksson clipping one out to the right wing. Kerr managed to pick up the scraps. Came back away via Charles. Kerr stood it up to the far post. Right, he's left that for Eriksson and immediately started a run.
I think we're so fortunate with players who are able to pick that ball up and switch play like Magda just showcased there.
There's Wrighton's cross. The keeper again came in and decided to go back.
I was just actually at half-time there speaking to one of the Benfica analysts, and he was saying about sticking to what they're trying to implement in the long-term vision of the team, and playing out from the back, and this game trying something a little bit different, trying to solidify a little bit more with 5 at the back. In the last game, I think they went with the forward and in the back, so trying to secure a little bit more, which you have seen. They've been quite resolute defensively, and I think Chelsea, we don't want to become too frustrated with our attacking options, but you do have to applaud Benfica for their mentality and for the dedication almost to that defensive mindset. And I've said it before, I do love an underdog, and the lesson they are learning in this game. He was very much touching on the fact that this is a 3-4 year plan. So I think hopefully off the back of this will be another fantastic team in 3-4 years' time.
Yeah, their pride would have been hurt by last week's result. Not used to losing games full stop, let alone by that margin. Little tug on the shirt of Wrighton there. Referee was looking at it, saw nothing wrong.
I think already we're seeing a lot more play down this left-hand side in the first half. It was very much down the right-hand side, and I don't know whether that's because of the change in balance of Magda giving that left foot option down the side and opening up the play.
Nicely done from Fleming. Here's Wrighton. That's a lovely touch from Wrighton that time. Shame Kerr couldn't get on the end of it. It's not the best clearance from Neuhaus. Sliced.
That was a fantastic play, wasn't it?
Some lovely touches around the edge of the penalty area at the start of the second half, actually.
I think when you're defending against the quality of players that Chelsea have and offer here, it's very difficult to not want to follow the ball. I can remember in training a few times before we had the likes of Neve Charles picking the ball up there.
Doing well so far, isn't she? Only 21 years old. Has got a goal in the league in the demolition of Bristol City earlier this season, but it's not an easy team to play your way into this.
It's not. Every single player will want to put their stamp on the game, won't they? They want to make that impression. But sometimes you do have to keep the organisation and the mentality that you don't want to force things. You have to be patient. So.
It's over toward England. It's come for Wrighton. Let's have a go with the right. A couple of defenders. Chelsea keen for a second goal at the start of the second half here.
Yeah, second half they come out and showed a little more intent, haven't they? Seems to be a little bit more interlinking play down the centre of the pitch.
Just overhit from Wrighton for Carter, but has resulted in a Chelsea corner.
Nice under-Latin run there from Jess Carter. We seem to be playing slightly higher up the pitch, don't we? I do feel like every time I make a comment on the style of play, we actually do it. A few really nice deliveries on that right-hand side.
Wrighton sends it over. It's loose. Kerr's had a swing. Good chance that.
Yeah, we saw Wrighton in the World Cup time and time again, putting in them fantastic crosses into the box, set pieces. I know that pre-World Cup, I think she was already on the books, but obviously she had a fantastic tournament and has come to Chelsea. And I think the intent and the pull of Chelsea is very much around the fact that we want to win things, and there's obviously no guarantee, but if we don't win a Champions League in the next few years, I do think that will be an underachievement. I think that statement of intent.
Almost able to volley that one in. Hope for Blundell. Here's Cuthbert. They're trying to get it out of feet. Does have some support from Eriksson.
Yeah, as I was saying, that statement of intent is exactly why we've attracted the calibre of players that we have.
What a ball that was from Carter for Wrighton. Just too high for Kerr. Blundell will pick it up. Back in toward England. Clear only as far as Cuthbert. Benfica hanging on at the moment.
So the difference in that pattern of play there was the actual speed of the passes. Jess Carter interlinking there with Wrighton, who time and time again is getting on the ball and is finding them pockets of spaces, but it's the change of momentum, the change of play, the speed, the penetration, and what comes with that. Can we draw these players out? Can we commit the Benfica play? Because look, when we look now, the bank of 5, bank of 3 directly in front of them. They're now not showing any intent to come out. They're not even really pressurising on the counter. So I can imagine it is quite frustrating to actually play against a team like this, but this is an opportunity to showcase the qualities that we have. Let's unlock situations, let's solve problems.
Here's Ingle.
It's all very much in front of Benfica at the moment, isn't it?
Trying to pick the lock. Carter sends it in first time. Oh my goodness me, underneath that Neuhaus is almost a good bad one. Charles. Yeah, plenty of targets to aim at. Stayed on her feet there. It would be interesting had she gone down. Referee might have had a decision to make. Cuthbert Put it back from Kerr. Couldn't quite get it out of feet and get the shot away before the block came in.
I think what we haven't seen enough of is exactly what Niamh Charles did there. Pick the ball up and run at her fullback. Make that fullback make a decision. Either if you're going inside or up, commit that player, and in doing that it creates a situation for yourself.
Foul in England. The referee had a great view and said yes. Foul to the Spaniard disappointed.
I think it looks like the player came from the back of Bethlehem there, didn't she? Held her hands up straight away.
Taken too quickly.
I think there's a worry here that this game might become a little bit stale if we don't try and solve these problems in a different way. I'd like to see Erin Cuthbert playing a little bit higher, actually.
She can play as a striker, can't she? I've seen that before. She's one of the players interested in the free kick. That looks like Wrighton's taking the responsibility. Fairly central, this. You have to have power as well as placement. 3 in the wall to circumnavigate. Right and round the wall. Whitehouse saw it from a long way and was able to gather it comfortably.
Yeah, it wasn't too challenging there for the keeper. I think she was going for the shot there when there wasn't enough power on it. I think why not actually at this moment, but the keeper has been quite solid and consistent. She's come for quite a lot, she's shown a lot of bravery, but has she actually really been tested? A lot of it has been at her, hasn't it?
Yeah, she's sort of done better dealing with crosses and balls into the box maybe than being forced to make save after save, certainly in the first half.
What I'd really like to see is Benfica actually stepping out and trying to attack a little bit, because then at this moment in time they're obviously not going to, because it's working for them, and it's probably a little bit about pride and making sure they don't come away with the same kind of result they did in the home leg. But
it's going to be tiring to do this for another half an hour though, isn't it, playing without the ball and defending?
Yeah, you'll probably see Benfica tire a little bit, especially because they haven't had a lot of football, have they, in late. The last time they played was obviously against Chelsea away, but I think prior to that it was very much 3 or 4 weeks before that.
Yeah, and they lost that game to Sporting. It was their first defeat since February. And that is not the one you want to lose if you're playing for Benfica.
I'm really intrigued to see the substitutes that Emma Hayes is going to make here. Obviously she's been forced into one with Millie Wright coming off for Magda Eriksson, but I'm just trying to look at the team sheet now. It's quite frightening, isn't it? I'd love to see Drew Spence come on the pitch.
Now, yellow card, first of the evening, for something said. The referee was immediately on the whistle. Victoria is the player who's got to watch her step for half an hour.
A little bit of frustration from the Benfica number 10 there.
Switching out toward Wrighton. Hidalgo got ahead to it to knock it behind.
I think Chelsea now are very much playing a 2 at the back, 5 in midfield. Magda Eriksson, Sophie Ingle, making sure that the team are organised and trying to maintain that control of momentum. They're the 2 pivots here. They're the ones who actually need to dictate the play. They're the ones who are actually going to be able to recognise the peaks and troughs of performance, really, because it's very much about the concentration level. Sometimes you do need a little bit of a kick up the backside almost to change I think there's a few angles. Change the actual momentum, change the style of play, change the way we're playing, and getting the best out of the players that we have. Are we doing that in this moment of time? I know for sure that Emma Hayes will want us to make a statement in this game. And in this moment in time is very much Benfica doing very well. They're doing a good job, aren't they, of actually nullifying the threats that we have.
They almost had an attack there. Reisler, who has ploughed a lone furrow up front. Might be an opportunity now because Carter's lost it. I guess the other thing in terms of the substitutions is thinking about who's going to be starting against Spurs on Sunday. And whether they need to have 90 minutes tonight.
Yeah, and there's a fine line and a fine balance around resting players and making sure they're sharp enough and fit enough to step into that game. And I'm pretty sure the rotation will be quite heavy leading into that Tottenham game. And the starting 11 will be very different in that game, so I will be surprised to actually see five. I reckon there'll be 4 subs, and the 4 subs that will come on will be the ones who are probably starting in the Tottenham game.
Almost able to win that back. Ericsson penalised.
I think the patience that the Benfica players are showing is actually paying dividends now, isn't it? They're actually growing a little bit into the second half. Chelsea did start with a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more energy, but they seem to have dropped a little bit.
Still just this goal, the one we've seen tonight.
Obviously they have a mountain to climb, but you know what football's like, it takes seconds to score a goal, doesn't it? And then the momentum changes. So this is a lesson equally for Chelsea. How do we manage this game? Who on the pitch is actually going to lead and step up and control it? Yes, we always think it comes from the central midfield players, but who's going to be the one to show that energy? Who's going to be the one to keep pressing, keep the game plan alive? We saw in the last game, Berger was called into action late, wasn't she? After having to endure not a lot of action for the majority of the game. I think Carly Telford called in a few times in this half. So I think that leadership levels and the spine and the direction comes from Carly Telford, it will come from Sophie Ingle, it will come from Magda Eriksson.
It's the striker, Reisler, who's down and in pain here. Magic Spray's not doing the trick at the moment. What you didn't see off camera was Anna Vittoria, who had moments ago been booked, getting right up in the referee's face and wagging her finger, asking for a card to be shown to Eriksson.
I didn't see that because I was chatting away.
Well, it was risky to say she'd just been booked. Well, they've already lost one player to injury, and Reisler doesn't look particularly comfortable as she's being helped off.
I think Magda Eriksson leaves no prisoners when she's going in up against opposition. And
didn't look like a particularly bad challenge, but cold night
looks
like this.
potentially like a dead leg. The Magic Spray definitely didn't work.
We'll just call it spray then.
Next up are the oranges.
Just past the hour mark. Chelsea long since secure their place in the last 16. The draw for which, by the way, is not until the middle of February. Those ties played in early March. Or heading towards the final in Gothenburg in May of next year. Now then, Kurt through here, great chance for 2-0. She was never going to pass it up, was she? Brilliant finish from Sam Kerr. That is a player bang in form, and Chelsea double their lead on the night and make it 7 on aggregate.
And you know what that was? A change of the pace of play, direct pass. Sam Kerr making that instinctive movement as she does. Guru right and picking the ball up in that central position, and Sam, actually, I initially thought that looked like it was offside, but from this position, we can't tell. I think previously, obviously, it's taken a little bit of time for Sam to grow into this league and live up to the expectation that she came with. And for me, she's very much on the path to what everyone has expected. That finish, cool, calm, collected. She slots it past the goalkeeper, who has been performed very well this. Excuse me, I'm half going to sneeze, half going to cough because of how cold it's got.
Well, the finish was perfect. The forward roll celebration needs a bit of work. This is more...
I'd like to see you do better.
Yeah, I can do a good forward roll. I can't finish for Toffee, but...
Just touching back on Sam Kerr's finish there. She knows instinctively where the goal is. She knows where the keeper is. That through ball from Guru Oyton. It's very much been about the direct style of play for Chelsea. We've seen goals come from all different angles, mainly in the wide positions. But for me, this is actually what we've needed. I think it was a little bit, it was getting a little bit, the pace was slowing, wasn't it? A little bit boring in the last 10-15 minutes. And this is about Chelsea making that statement, putting this team to bed. But I think as Benfica were growing a little bit into the game, that now for them must be quite difficult to overcome. 2-0 away from home, 7-0 on aggregate. I think it's probably time for Chelsea now to have a bit of fun. I'll stop rambling on now because...
Well, it's not going to get any easier for Benfica. I mean, how would you feel if you're a Benfica defender? You look at the bench and Fran Kirby and Pernilla Harder, who's just been voted the best player in Europe, are about to come on. How's your luck, girls?
Jeez, you know what? How impressive is that from a Chelsea start? It's something that, for a long, long time, as a club, we've strived to have the kind of calibre of players on the bench and in the squad. I feel it's things made of nightmares, isn't it, for that Benfica defence?
Erin Cuthberts is the first number that's up. So one would assume that Kirby will be taking her place in midfield, as we've become used to her playing that slightly deeper role these days. Pernilla Harder, the best around, also number one in the Guardian's list of top 100 footballers that was released last week too.
I think obviously Emma Hayes and Pernilla Harder have been nominated for the best FIFA, is that what they're called, the best FIFA awards, which is, I think for Emma, watching their press conference, she was saying, and I thought it was quite poignant actually, the point she made. She was very much accepting it rather than undermining what she had achieved. I think too often as women, especially in football, you do undermine achievements, and Emma Hayes has very much been pioneering for this Chelsea team, for English football, and I think that accolade actually speaks volumes. Yes, I know she wants to be winning this competition, and that will solidify that achievement for her, but it is a big deal, and I think she has, for me in particular, I've seen the landscape of women's football change, and she's really been a catalyst for change at Chelsea Football Club, so she deserves everything that she potentially will receive. I think she's down to the last three. And obviously Pernilla Harder, she's come from Wolfsburg, world-class player. Only ever played against her when we played Wolfsburg in the Champions League, which actually gave me nightmares, so I can imagine the nightmares these lot are having. But yeah, what a fantastic player.
So it was Kerr who came off for the second Chelsea player, and this is the new Benfica player, Amani, who's just come on. It's their second change. Just getting a little bit spicy out there now. Final quarter of this game. Well, here's an opportunity from a set piece. The worst ball in. Carter's headed back toward her own goal and it's loose. Chelsea struggling to get it clear here, and Telford has had something approaching a save to make. Was Reisler, by the way, who we saw getting that extensive treatment, who went off in the Benfica substitution. It's a straight swap up front.
Aaron Cuthbert and Sam Kerr coming off for Chelsea, being replaced by Frank Kirby and Pernille Harder. What fantastic depth that shows, and we talk about it so much. And Eb's always talked about it within the squad, being able to almost have two teams which actually replicate the same quality as almost like a first team. I don't know what actually her best team is in her head. I think it's very much about the opposition and who you're playing. I know Fran's obviously, she's come on here, she's pressing hard.
So actually she's gone up front, hasn't she? And Harder's playing in midfield.
Yeah. I think Harder there was a direct substitution for Aaron Cuthbert. It's really fantastic to see Fran Kirby picking back up her form that she had prior to her injuries and her time out of football.
It's Victoria. Benfica showing a bit more attacking intent now as we're into the last 20 minutes. Might as well. Kirby's won a free kick on halfway. Spurs on Sunday again, we're bringing you live, and then off until the 10th of January, Chelsea, when the Super League resumes.
I think number 11 there. Armani, who's come on. Armani, sorry my pronunciation. Seems like she's offering a little bit more of an outlet for them. They're still playing the same formation, but whether it is that change in mindset, they've obviously got nothing to lose now, which they came into the game with anyway, but it should be about now trying to express themselves, try and get something from it. I'd love to be able to speak Portuguese and understand what the manager is saying, but because he's very vocal, isn't he?
Yeah. He used to play for Benfica, Luis Andrade. A couple of spells at the club either side of the millennium. Here's Carter. Break here for Wrighton. Touched it off quickly to make sure Fleming could keep possession.
You always, obviously, the question's always asked in the Premier League about players, international players coming and settling in, and how easy that is. I feel like in the women game, especially at Chelsea, is very much about the investment in the person and do they fit into the dynamics of the team.
Devilish ball whipped across by Charles. He's kept it alive. Kirby back to Carter. Yeah, and a lot of scouting is done obviously on a player's ability, but also their personality, isn't it? Because that's going to have a massive impact if you're coming from a different country as to how quickly you're going to settle.
Yeah, of course. Look, you're training every single day. You're around this group of people.
It's a hit from Arda.
Day in, day out. It's very much about do you show the attributes as a person, and do them attributes actually cross over onto the pitch. I know recruitment-wise, it's very much about the person. Making sure that it's the investment in a good person, because for me...
Oh, it's a lovely ball from Wrighton. Oh, Kirby just straight offside. Defender who made the block on the line didn't know that, mind you.
That was great interlinking play there. Was it Guru Wrighton who linked up there with Frank Kirby? Was it Guru? I can't...
Yeah.
See, yeah, drifting inside again. But we saw prior to that direct break of line of play from Pernille Harder, which we were missing a little bit. I think in the beginning of that second half. The way she opens up, finds herself space for the shot. Ask questions because...
Well, you wanted to see Drew Spence. Clay, going to get your wish. He's going to come on for Hannah Blundell, who's got 75 minutes into her legs, which will be invaluable to her.
Yeah, it's good exposure, isn't it, for the likes of Hannah Blundell, who hasn't had a lot of minutes. Drew Spence now coming in, playing more of a central role. It's like Neve Charles is dropping into potentially more of a...
Looks like a back three, doesn't it? Oh, we'll see. Spence in the heart of midfield. That's 4 of the 5 changes permitted. Carter. Good defending from Fidalgo.
Lovely pass from Pino Harder to get Jess Carter onto the ball there. You see the intensity that has been injected now with these subs. You see that Emma was mentioning her notes prior to this game about the attitude of the players like Pino Harder. Yes, she's nominated as one of the best players in the world, but how is that implemented in the day-to-day learnings of the club, as of the players around her and of herself? She wants to keep challenging herself. She's come to Chelsea, having been at Wolfsburg for a long time, having already been at that level. How can she actually help affect the players around her? And I think Emma was quoted as saying that she's
Let's head her down. Well, Benfica had that spell where they were attacking a little bit. Oh, they might be able to now too. Fleming got away with that.
I think the outlet there and with the pressure, Fleming got caught a little bit. But just going back to what I was saying about the competition on that day-to-day training basis and what that does. I think what was missing from the squad that I was in was that competitive edge in training. We had 11, 12, 13 fantastic players, but when you're training day to day and you're trying to do 11v11, you're trying to set that standard, it's not quite there. But now you can see from the depth that we have, the number of high quality players, that training and the exposure that these players are getting, and the fact that one of the best players in the world is wanting to push that standard and take this club to another level. I think that is where the difference lies.
These are 2 goals that we've seen. Slice of fortune about Bethany England's, but a really high quality second. Sam Kerr's finish, but the pass that came before was perfection from Wrighton. Shade over 10 minutes to go. Harder. Showed a little bit too much of it to Fidalgo. We're able to win it back at the expense of a throw. Ingle. Good ball that for Kirby. Got England in the middle. Did really well to almost pick her out.
Yeah, fantastic vision there from Sophie Ingle.
Back in from Wrighton.
She knew that Frank Kirby had the defenders to place there and looked up, saw that pocket of space, and fantastically weighted ball. I think what we actually haven't seen is that expansive play, because Benfica have been so deep. I think that's probably one of a few times where we've been able to actually get the ball in behind and chase it.
Eriksson.
think what Armani is trying to do is pick and choose her times when she is pressing our fullbacks. You see Magda Eriksson picking the ball up in the opposition half and being able to carry it, but it's about for them making the decisions at the right time.
Fleming. Oh, cut back almost resulted in an own goal. It's been all hands on deck for Benfica from minute one.
They're starting to look a little bit tired, aren't they? See the pat on the back from the Benfica defenders and the goalkeeper. I think they do have to take some pride in how resolute they have been defensively.
And from Brighton all the way across, Charles couldn't get a touch. Last touch was from a defender apparently. Benfica befuddled by that from the referee.
A few frailing arms there, a bit of frustration. Goalkeeper's not happy, is she?
Flailing arm, part of the international language of football. Can Chelsea get a third just to put the cherry on top of the cake? Not as far as Fleming. Well, she's done really well there to work it to Harder. Stood up toward the back post. Can they break? To stopping that from happening. Marnie. Carter in there again.
I do think our centre-backs could potentially be a little bit braver at finding our midfield sometimes. I can see a few hand gestures and movements from the midfield wanting to get on the ball. It is very much about trusting your players and bravery, and if you want to almost test out a few things, this is the game to do so. Drew there went for the no-look pass.
He didn't want to go for that for fear of being offside, I think. England's flick, and Martin pick it up, not quite.
I think for me is always talk a lot about solving problems on the pitch rather than waiting for half time or rather than waiting for direction from the manager on the sideline. And I've mentioned it time and time again in this game. I really am applauding Benfica's commitment to playing out, but for me, another injury here.
It was a painful one for both players. Carter's out here. Eriksson's back up on her feet, thankfully.
Seems to be a lot of pain.
It's Camaro who's hurt. Hopefully, because it was an impact injury, it will just be painful.
It seems like one of them, doesn't it? I think she'll be able to run it off by the looks of it.
And a card for it, which she can't believe. Twice as painful now.
Yeah.
Beatrice Camaro goes into the book. Pointed out to me, by the way, that it is Drew Spence's 200th Chelsea appearance tonight. Terrific achievement to keep getting games in a squad of this quality. He's been here for a long time now on the ball.
Look, Drew Spence is technically one of the best players, I think, in the league. She doesn't get enough credit, from my opinion, for what she offers. I think she offers something very different to what... She offers something very different to players that we have. And obviously it's a testament to the longevity of her career and how she's evolved. she was a consistent for a long time for this club. She scored a lot of important goals and is continuing to learn and grow. And I think playing around this standard of players that she is in training and making sure she takes her chance when she gets these opportunities. But I don't think we've seen the best of Drew Spence yet. I think she's got a lot to offer, and as I was saying, very different to the players we have. So
Harder was determined to get the free kick there, and she ended up touching the ball with her hand, thinking that it was going to be awarded her way.
It was one of them in the playground, wasn't it, when you grab the ball before it's been given. Here, Emma Hazer. I'm sure everyone can hear it as well. But just shouting for a bit of discipline. Let's control the game. Let's not make any silly decisions, no silly fouls, no silly bookings.
Eriksson. Time for right in here. Much time left in the game, that. What a pass that is from the centre half, Magda Eriksson. Here's Harder from range. Ooh, that would have been the pick of the bunch.
Oh, that looked like it was going in, didn't it? Similar pattern that we've seen all game. Big switch from Magda Eriksson out to... Who picked up the ball there? Was it Jessie Fleming, I think, picked the ball up. I can't see from where we are, by the way. Can you tell?
It was Fleming, yeah.
As I was saying before, the ability for Neil Harder to find little pockets of space, the touch that she creates for herself, the vision she has, the way she shifts her body.
Spence. Oh, that was almost a brilliant pass. Just intercepted before Kirby could get on the end of it.
That was close, wasn't it? Drew spotted Frank Kirby's run.
Carter's done likewise.
I think Frank Kirby coming on has offered something a little bit different. Playing more off the back shoulder, anticipating the balls that are coming from them central positions. I think her energy as well is showcasing kind of how she's almost overcoming that period she had out and really stepping up to the expectations and the quality that she has around her. I mean, it's difficult when you bring in these players, these big name players who have the expectation, when we have fantastic players already in the squad. So the mindset it takes to yourself go again, make that step up, make that stake a claim for your position. I think we've seen the likes of Beth England and Fran do that.
Certainly in Fran's case, making up for lost time. She missed so much football, hasn't she, through injury and illness.
Yeah, and it shows the strength of character. It's really difficult overcoming injuries. I can say that's one thing I can definitely relate to. Coming back from an injury and having the expectation of certain levels of performance, and actually it does take quite a long time to regain your form. I know the hard work that she put in behind the scenes. And I think, as I was saying, there's plenty more to come from Fran Kirby. It was funny because actually I was seeing a comment on Twitter that Sam Kerr made, I think off the back of Frank Kirby's, they were giving each other Twitter love, and I think Sam Kerr said the most underrated player or underrated when she was referring to Fran. And I think it's actually quite ironic really when Frank Kirby is one of the best players in England. Same goes for Beth England herself. But when you're surrounded by players of that quality, you almost get lost in it, don't you? So I did kind of chuckle to that because I was thinking, football's a fickle game. Sometimes people forget how good players are when they've been out for a while. So it does take a strong mindset to go again, and Fran shows she has that.
Right in. Winding the shot with Amani breathing down her neck. Let's see how much stoppage time is added. We had 7 minutes in the first half. And another 5 now. Seems a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
I think we could play for another 50. There's not going to be any difference in terms of who's going through.
I think they should offer us a hot water bottle if they're going to be playing that much extra time. I guess there have been a few fouls, haven't there?
Yeah, a lengthy spell of treatment for the Benfica striker as well, wasn't there, Reisler? Be another goal here for Chelsea. Oh, England somehow managed to keep it out first time and then cleverly flicked it in to get her second of the night and third of the tie and give Chelsea another goal. It is 3-0 on the night, 8-0 now the aggregate score.
Yeah, I think she's laughing again there as Frank Kirby picked the ball up from Pernille Harder. Fantastic ball. Just in between the goalkeeper and the back line there. I think she arrived a little bit awkwardly, didn't she? And
good clearance first time.
She went to take it with her left foot and it bounced back and she managed to tuck it away. With a smile on the face, I think that is a nail in the coffin there for Benfica. You know what, I think it's very much about, yes, who are the goal scorers and where are the goals coming from, but we've seen the assists come from different outlets in this team, different players, different types of goals being scored as well. A goal's a goal, as we said before.
Yeah, she's scored some outstanding goals in the last couple of years, hasn't she, Bethany England? Not sure we'd put either of those tonight in that category. Oh, that was a clever improvised finish.
She knew where the goal was, let's just put it like that.
Here's Fidalgo. Can they get one right at the end, Benfica? Harder looking for England, who's on a hat-trick. And there were enough bodies back there for Benfica to make sure she didn't get it on that occasion. Here's Kirby. Nice ball around the corner from Harder. Could be another goal here for Chelsea.
I think when we've talked about Benfica tiring, we've seen in the last 5 minutes, haven't we? I think they've been very resolute leading up to this moment, but the extra time seems to have. Saying that once again, they're on the attack.
With Lacasse, Amani in the middle. Kirby easily away from the defender. 2 up in support, Fleming and England right and arriving too. Kirby's might going to go alone. A couple of deflections on that through to the goalkeeper.
You know what, from a defensive position there, I think the defender did a really good job shepherding her away from goal, making her make a decision. She almost had too much time, didn't she? Ran there. Great knock to beat the fullback and create her own space, but as I say before, sometimes it's actually harder to play teams when you have too much time, because you have too much time to think and it's less reactive and less natural.
Fidalgo.
Tell you what, I can't wait for Champions League nights where this ground is packed with Chelsea fans.
Well, the fact that the round of 16 is not played until March will give you some optimism that maybe by that stage we will be able to get people back in again. Right enough for Carter. Dying embers now.
I think for me, in that situation there where Guro Reuten's come inside, she's found a little pocket of space. I'd love to see her try and turn and face up there.
Chelsea through to the last 16 in the Champions League, and in some style. 3-0 on the night here to add to the 5 goals scored in Portugal last week. A thumping victory for Emma Hayes' team. Bethany England with a couple, and Sam Kerr scored 2. And it was really as comfortable as the scoreline suggests. Chelsea go marching on in Europe. They can put this competition in the back pocket now until the spring. Final score here at Kingsmeadow. On the night, Chelsea 3, Benfica 0. It is 8-0 to the Blues on aggregate. And we will take a look back at how the action unfolded before we leave you. So many chances in the first half, Claire. It could have been 3-0 at least by half-time. Opportunity after opportunity, that one for Fleming. But even before that, there were a couple of chances.
Yeah, I think seeing once again that overload in the wide areas, dragging out the Benfica players and then feeding the ball into that 6-yard box. Beth England frustrated there.
And then got lucky here. Just before the half hour, giving Chelsea the lead.
I'm just going to say she meant it, because let's just give it to her.
Second goal of the tie, that was, having scored in Portugal last week. Element of fortune about it. Goalkeeper had stepped off the line. She was really good other than that, Neuhaus, actually.
Yeah, goalkeeper was fantastic this evening. She's dealt with a lot of situations. I think Beth England on this occasion would be frustrated not capitalising on that header.
So many opportunities in the game for Chelsea, hardly any for Benfica. If there's one criticism Emma Hayes will have, it might be the profligacy of her team.
I think off the back of that, it'd be very much about actually getting their numbers in the box. Here we see Sam Kerr showcasing why she's one of the best in the world, top goal scorers in multiple leagues, holds lots of records. But let's not take away the credit from, yeah, so Guro Reuten, fantastic ball. She cut out 3 or 4 players there, and then we just talk so often. Once Vanille Harder came on about her ability to find them little pockets of space. And then again, the switch of play there and changing up the momentum, changing the direction of attack and the angle of attack and solving the problems. And look, we have the tools to unlock many situations for Chelsea, and I know that the girls will be going in tomorrow and analysing the game. They'll be analysing their own performances and seeing what they could have done better in situations. And for me, that's exactly what this game is about then.
Kirby and Harder both had an impact when they came on. Kirby setting up the 3rd goal in stoppage time for England, eventually poking it home. And that was the end of a brilliant night for Chelsea and a brilliant tie overall. Thanks for your company this evening. A couple of things to mark your card for. PL2 on Friday lunchtime against Manchester United, 12 o'clock kickoff for that one, and then on Sunday the women back in action in the penultimate game, or the final game I should say, before the winter break, and it's a big one against Spurs. We'll bring that to you live. Do join us for that. For now though, from myself, Matt Davis-Adams and Claire Rafferty, thank you very much for your company this evening. Finished Chelsea 3, Benfica 0 on the night, 8-0 on aggregate. The Blues through to the last 16 of the Champions League.